We had an incident on this side of the hull when we were propping it up, and we had thought that the hull was crushed, but it was just the bottom paint because it's like caked on there like cray-cray. So we have to do the bottom paint, which we weren't really planning on doing. So that kind of is a bummer, but I guess you gotta just do it. If you wanna live the life, you gotta just do it.
That's the stuff. It's like turkey gravy. Okay, so that is my first test area of applying aqua strip and covering it over with plastic wrap. The point of the plastic wrap is really just to prevent the aqua strip from drying out too quickly, because apparently it's much more difficult to remove if you let it dry out. So I'm gonna let that sit for 4 hours, and then I'm gonna do my first test scrape. And I think I'll go do another part of the boat now, and assuming this comes off nicely after 4 hours, then I'll take that next section off after 4 hours. It didn't work. Alright, this has been on for 4 hours, so I'm going to take it off and we'll see how it does after 4 hours. Looks like it stayed fairly wet. All of it, but let's see. Scrape all that off. And then I might do a second layer, a second application, I don't know. There's still some layers of paint here, but it's soft. Maybe I'll just sand that off. I don't know. We'll see how I feel as I go through. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit drier than I would have liked. I thought that it would stay more wet, more moist under here with this plastic wrap. Oh yeah, an actual paint stripper that doesn't deform when you put pressure on it. Much better. Cool. These early Gemini suffered from osmotic blistering. Judging from what I see here, this particular Gemini was not immune. I believe all of those gray spots are where people in the past have fixed the osmotic blisters. In some cases, poorly. This one just chipped right out. Seems like there was a lot. I'm going to assume that's what that was.
We actually started to strip the bottom paint, which is why you can see that it looks kind of all ganked up right here. The previous owners must have had a bunch of
Osmotic blisters?
Osmotic blisters. The boat had some pimples, which they popped and patched up, but there were so many. Like here, you could see there was definitely one. Here, there was definitely one. But I mean, it looks like it held up pretty well. We didn't find any blisters this time, so no big deal.
Laid down a bit more stripper and plastic wrap. That's one more section that's about to get stripped. You know, this is a lot easier than sanding all that bottom paint off. This is still a lot of work, especially out here in the heat. Little by little, removing the bottom paint. So here's how I'm progressing with this bottom stripping operation. I come by in the morning before work, spend an hour, including travel time back and forth, just applying some stripper, covering it with the plastic wrap so it doesn't dry too fast. And then I come back over lunch, and I scrape it all off. Rinse and repeat. Next day, I'll move on to another section further down the hall.
So right now we have to finish the bottom paint. So we stripped most of it, but we still have to sand it down and then repaint it.
So I'm just doing my first pass, 60 grit paper. Not quite done with the side of this one hull, but I think it's going to take a few passes. I'm going to do what I can to knock off all of the loose paint that seems to chip off and has little cracks in it. Then I'll rinse it all down and I'll take another pass. I think this is the cleanest I've looked when sanding this boat. Usually my face looks kind of like that. I've taken a couple passes with 80 grit, sanded it down. There's still a bit of the old paint remaining, but this is paint that's adhered very well, and I'm not too concerned about leaving a little bit of it on there. My next step is to rinse this off, get all the sanding dust off of everything, and then I'm going to come back in the morning and I'm going to use epoxy to fill any little tiny holes and scrapes and imperfections and such in the bottom. Look, this is the proper roller.
Well, if you shake it like that, we can't
Anti-fouling bottom paint. Ooh, that guy.
Go on, get.
We're going to paint black first, because we're going to go by the theory that you paint one color, and you paint the other color, and over time, when the ablative paint comes off, you see the other color, and you're like, oh, it's time to paint. Lots of people disagree with that. I don't know. I'm just doing it, right? We're going to put black, and then we're going to put red, so you can see red. Look, I taped here, right?
Don't hit the boat.
Because we're going to paint here.
You're being stupid. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
I know.
Okay.
I'm telling the whole story. All right. Now look at this. You see this? The boat is sitting on wood. I can't paint between the boat and the wood. So, we're going to paint almost to it. Maybe a few inches away from the wood. We're going to paint black. And just leave that area exposed, because eventually we're going to paint it. When we go paint the red on top, we're only going to paint it up to, a couple inches away from the black. Kind of stage it. That way, when we do correct the bare spots, we can kind of feather the paint in a little bit better and there won't be an obvious lump. Not that that's a big deal either, but at some point, when we put the 2 layers of paint on here, we're going to lift the boat up a little bit, remove the blocks, and then we'll paint the 2 layers of paint where the blocks were.
All right.
Looking good, babe.
I've only painted one boat bottom.
Yeah, but it's your first. It's your first, baby. What are you doing there, girl?
Well, I don't want to go too close to the block because they got to feather it.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get just the... Oh, see? It's a little tricky.
Mm-hmm. Nice job, lady.
Thanks, bud. Duke will be doing the final touches. Oh my gosh, this project's taking too long. What do you have to say for yourself?
I'm sorry.
What'd you do?
I need you to paint the whole boat, baby.
Yeah, you did. You definitely did. We got the second layer of bottom paint done. She's looking pretty good. Super excited to pull off that painter's tape and reveal the finished product.
Okay, I'm almost ready to jack this thing up so I can reposition the blocks so that ultimately I can paint the unpainted spots that it's currently sitting on. Also lower the center boards somewhat so I can paint at least the bottom 18 inches of them. The bottom 18 inches being the portion of the center board that is always sitting in water of some sort. Alright, well, all four corners are bearing weight nicely. I didn't hear any cracking, which is good.
Yeah.
Because I really don't want this boat to crack, bub.
I don't want it to crack.
As the center board's partially deployed, I really only care about repainting the bottom edges if I can. I suppose I should repaint the whole things, but I'm not going to right now. But just wanted to check out the condition of these. They're made of plywood. I would expect them to get waterlogged at some point, but for the most part they look okay. This is the starboard board. I'm going to scrape off everything loose and put some new paint on it. And here's the port center board. Also looks pretty decent. Not too bad.